Hello, everybody. Welcome to Behind the Art. We have our third installment today, and this is a real treat because how I met this young lady, I am so blessed. I feel so full when I listen to her. Behind the Art, as you all know, is a series that Gamma Xi Phi, specifically the Gamma chapter of Newark, New Jersey, is doing to really get you to know the artists in our communities and beyond. So without further ado, I'm just going to let her introduce herself, and then we're going to jump right into it.
Hi, y'all. My name is WATA. I am a singer-songwriter and sound bath performer. We met in a very special clubhouse room, and since then I've been super excited to do this interview.
Thank you so much. And because of that, I really just want to jump right into it. You actually influenced one of these questions. So we'll get to which one in a couple minutes, but we'll just jump right in. What memorable responses have you gotten from your work?
Yeah, so I'm really blessed that I've gotten a lot of feedback from people in my community about the impact that my sound baths have had. I did a really special sound bath for the new year. So I was able to get together with, I think, maybe 10 of my clubhouse friends and do a 5-hour sound bath performance. We had singing bowls, we had I performed, we had poetry, we had affirmations. And after that event, I just had this outpouring of messages. One woman talked about how she was recovering from COVID and she listened to our sound bath the whole day and she said she started to feel better after that. Another person was talking about how they were in a process of grieving and that sound bath had helped them in their grieving process. So I think, like, hearing how my music and hearing how the sound baths that I do are able to help people through transitional parts in their lives and parts of their lives that are very difficult are always very memorable for me.
And what you do is so specialized, and I think that is also so important to mention. And as a mental health advocate, and as someone who is always looking for new ways and peaceful ways to meditate, to heal, sound is a major part of that. So, and that takes a very special person to do as well, because that's not easy work. It may seem in the spiritual realm, it's light work type, so to speak, but it's not easy work to do at all. So yes, that is phenomenal. And then that kind of really brings me to my next question because of what you do and the type of art that you do. Does the creative process get lonely? And if so, how do you integrate socially after something so impactful?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think when I was younger, it was lonely
Mm-hmm.
because I was in an environment where I wasn't really around a lot of artists.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, I went to art school, and I've been surrounded by artists pretty much since college, and so now I've had the opportunity to be around like minds, and with Clubhouse, it's only expanded my ability to connect. So I found that I'm less lonely. Now I tend to go through intentional periods of isolation where I kind of hold myself off from the world in order to create. And so when I come out of that, um, I find like I'm like craving community. I'm
Mm-hmm.
craving connection. I'm craving interaction with my friends. So sometimes I'll go dark for like 3 weeks. I won't be answering my phone, or just be kind of working, and then afterwards I'm like texting like 20 people like, "Hey, what's up? How's it
Mm-hmm.
going? How's your life? You like let's talk." So I find that now the isolation period is kind of built into my creative process a little bit.
And that's so important because we talk about isolation sometimes as if it's a constant negative,
Mm.
when in reality it's something that is so needed and it's so like necessary. And I know prior interviews we've had, it's kind of been 50-50 on whether, do you owe your friends the telling them, that you're going into isolation a little bit? Or do you feel like it's one of those things that's a very personal thing for you? What do you think?
I don't always plan it. So I think if I know that I'm gonna be in a period of isolation, I'll try and give
Mhm.
people a heads up,
Okay.
or I'll try and officially take that time off. Sometimes though, it just hits me, and I'm like, you know what? I need to just take a day to myself, and so I won't necessarily prepare people for that. Um, Now, what I'll do is I might make an Instagram post or put something on my story that's like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna be taking a couple days off. If you don't get a text from me, I'll get to
That's
you
why.
by this day." Yeah. So I've started to do that. Um, and that's kind of helped. But sometimes, yeah, I don't give people that preparation.
And and that's perfectly okay. Like I have a spouse, I have a daughter and all these things. And there have been moments where I've just had to share, listen, I need some time. And there's been moments where I have not shared. I'll just kind of go off into the living room or, the bedroom and kind of just have my own peaceful space. I am a 2-hour shower girl too sometimes. So
Yes.
that's a safe space for me.
Mhm.
But this next question is actually the question you inspired. And it says, how does the art slash sound affect your everyday decision making?
And I saw this question, I was like, "Ooh, I love this." That's funny. um, so for me, sound helps me regulate my stress.
Mhm,
The reason why I started creating meditation music in the first place is because I was stressed out at the beginning of COVID. I had a lot of anxiety and I just didn't really know what was going on with the world, like a lot of
mhm,
people. And so one day I just, I opened up Logic and I, got my mic out and I just started singing, and the meditation music is what came out. And so I found that, you know, and sound healing, specifically sound healing music, has been so vital for me in terms of regulating my stress, in terms of allowing me to focus, in terms of allowing me to, um, you know, sleep sometimes. And it's a way that I've been able to kind of, lighten my mood. If I'm feeling heavy, I might put on, a certain track that just allows me to kind of get into a higher space. And so it's really, I think it's really impacted my ability to understand that, um, in times of stress and anxiety, I still have a choice in how I feel. I still have a choice in how I'm going to react to something. If I get a really stressful phone call, I can choose to sit there for the next hour and sit and worry, or I can choose to do something that's going to allow me to calm down, like doing a meditation or just taking some deep breaths. Like today, I was sending emails, and
mhm.
between every email, I was like, I was just like, let me take a breath. Like, let me just do some meditation. Like people in the coffee shop probably thought I was crazy, but I was like, I need to meditate in between each and every one of these emails.
Mhm.
And so I found that that has become a part of my daily routine, and it's allowed me to, really choose my response a lot more carefully.
And I love that you touched on that, especially when you can say we choose our actions and reactions to things, because I think that's so important as well.
Mhm.
Because a lot of the times we think that we're led to make decisions by outside entities or our feelings, when really we are the deepest and the strongest in control
Yeah.
of all of those things. And that is so, it's so powerful that you said that, and I'm really glad you did, because um I tie everything into mental health. I tie everything into mental wellness, as a person, but also my organization has a thing called Check on Me. So it's every suicide awareness day. We do across the country. We do meetings, we do seminars and things like that. Each chapter on suicide and depression in the arts community, because it's so important to remind ourselves that we are supported. We do have the right to our feelings. We do have the right to not create sometimes. Um, I unfortunately lost 3 people during COVID to suicide because of the not being able to create, not being able to touch as much as they wanted to, because they felt like they didn't know when they would see, you know, people again. And that's another reason why I go as hard as I do, in so many different ways. So I'm so grateful that you said that, and you really, really took it home with, you know, meditating in between each email and really like centering in on the focus. Because I feel like the more we do that, the more, you know, we'll realize how powerful and productive that we can actually be. So that is amazing. Um, and I'm loving the segues here. So the next question is, can art be heartbreaking?
Yeah, this was a really interesting one for me to think
Mhm.
about. I started to think about my relationship with music and with my instrument. Um, I was a classical violinist for 10 years. I started
Oh.
studying it at the age of 11, and played it all the way through college and things like that. And um, there were so many moments of heartbreak with it because, I had this idea when I was in middle school and high school. It's like, oh, I'm going to be a classical violinist playing in an orchestra, right? And so, um, but in order to do that, it's such a competitive space that, there's these checkpoints you have to hit. Got to do the youth
Hmm.
symphony, you've got to do this all state and all these different competitions. And, I found that when I missed a checkpoint or when I didn't meet up to this standard, um, when I ultimately made the decision to stop playing violin, or at least classical violin, and start doing improvisation and start doing jazz and start doing other stuff, I kind of had to mourn. I had to mourn that idea, and it felt like a heartbreak. It's something that I literally felt in my heart, and I had to mourn um, this expectation and this idea that I had put on to the violin and onto myself as a musician.
Hmm.
And I found that, I've transitioned music wise so many times. I've transitioned from being a classical violinist to doing improv to doing vocals to doing meditation music now. And each time I've kind of had to, I've experienced a little bit of heartbreak, and I've had to mourn, you know, what was in order to welcome what is and what I'm becoming. And so I would say like the relationship with music is like any relationship, and definitely at risk of heartbreak. But at the same time, it's so beautiful, and it's something that I can't really see myself out, or I can't see myself without. So I
Hmm.
just, I'm still here.
I think that is beautiful, and I think that it's even more beautiful that you can make the connection, because my medium, my of hardcore medium is poetry, and poetry has broken my heart. I can confidently say that poetry has broken my heart a little bit, and I think it was more of the outside part of it, less than the art. The art is forever captivating; it will forever be a part of who I am. But I did have to mourn the aspect of no longer caring about what others thought of my words. And in poetry, that is like, what? Like, you don't care what other people think about your words? No. Um, I
Yeah.
sing in a lot of my poems. My background is that's funny that you say classical violinist. I did classical piano for almost 15 years of my life. Um, and I had to mourn not just piano, like stopped playing piano altogether, but I had people telling me constantly, like, "Why do you always sing in your poetry? You know, they're not listening to the poetry; they're listening to your singing." And then that's all they're gonna want. And because of that, that started, I believe, the heartbreak for real for me, where I took a huge break away from everything, and I kind of started writing for myself, started writing less for the acceptance and more for myself, because I live in a very heavy, heavy poetry community where if you're not performing, if you're not out here, are you even a poet? Um, yeah, and that's kind of toxic. Um, and it's not right. So I had to step back. And I was fortunate that I stepped back when I did, because I think I would have completely just stopped. Um, and I also realized how needed my voice is, not just for myself, but for those that really, really do enjoy me and that really do, you know, care. So I think it is phenomenal and beautiful that you specifically said you mourned each progression and each growth, because it is very much like any other relationship when we talk about our art, because we're sensitive. um, we want, we want people to like it, but you gotta like it. So that's super amazing. Okay, my last and final question, and I kind of don't want to let you go. I love this conversation. It is, if you were not, and this is really connects now. Again, we're in tune here. If you weren't doing this medium, what medium would you be doing?
Yeah, so I kind of cheated with this answer because I mean, I technically do this already, but
Mhm.
I would be a fiction writer, like an Octavia
What?
Butler type, yes. I have a secret novel that I started over the pandemic that I've been working on. Um, but yeah, I love writing. And I mean, obviously I'm a songwriter, so that plays into it,
Mhm.
but I actually really love long form writing. I'm working on like 5 books right now. It's kind of insane.
What?
Yeah, I have a novel that I'm working on, a fiction novel that's at like over 10K words, and
Wow.
I'm trying to get it to at least 30 before I do anything with it. But yeah, I would definitely, I'd be one of those people that's like gets a cabin in the woods and just like writes every day and like doesn't pay attention to anything going on in the outside world. That would be my ideal career. Which might happen, like I might hit 50 and be like, okay, bye y'all. I'm going to the mountains and I'm gonna write my book and see ya.
I was about to say that, like how your projection is and your trajectory. I feel like that's definitely in like a 5-year plan. I think you said 50,
Yes.
but I think it might be a little sooner than that.
Listen, the way this world is going, it might be in a 2 year plan, okay?
Listen, I can see you in 6 months and we're in a whole
Yes.
different, realm. And I'll
Right.
be like, you know what? I'm with all of it.
I mean,
Um,
honestly, yeah, I wouldn't mind it right now.
it's so crazy because this is another one of my favorite questions, and
Mhm.
why I ask it is because I'm always so interested in seeing what people say, and I love that it's still a form of art. My last interview, he told me that he would have been an architect, and
Mm,
he's a producer and he makes music, and I was just like, it's so connected. Like you don't even
yes.
see it. And I
Yes.
think he was looking at me like I was crazy. But it's so connected. Like what you do and what you would do if you didn't do that is like just intertwined and intermingled, and phenomenal work.
Yeah. I mean, it's all storytelling at the end of the day. So,
This is very true. So we're gonna wrap it on up. But before we do, this is my favorite part, and this is the part I don't tell my interviewees, guys. Um, This is called the healthy flex. So, what I want WATA to do for you guys in the most positive way possible is healthily flex on herself. That's one, telling you where you can find her, and two, any powerful flex, healthy, that she wants to share with you guys today. So, go ahead, honey.
okay. Well, you can find me on Instagram at WATA Music, Twitter at the same name, WATA Music, and you can find my single Pendulum on all streaming platforms,
Mhm.
Spotify, Apple Music, etc. And you can also find my bath music on my SoundCloud as well as my website, w4t4.com. I think those are all of my social medias. Healthy Flex. Ooh. I am coming out with my first NFT, which I'm very excited about. This is like a crypto based token that you attach to your music. So I'm
Mhm.
coming out with that next week and I'm super excited. And I would say that's a flex for me because I've been following crypto for a while and this is my first entry into the space as an artist. And so I'm really excited.
Thank you. Thank you. Once again, everybody, thank you for coming and joining us on Behind the Art. I hope you learned something. I hope you got something. And again, I didn't keep you for too long because right after this, you need to go follow her and you need to go listen, because I'm telling you, she's going to get non-accessible in a while, but she doesn't know yet. And I leave you with every session, be grace, feel grace so you can accept grace. Once again, be grace, feel grace, so you can accept grace. Thank you so much, Wada. And we'll see you
You.
guys next time.
Bye.